It doesn't matter if they're banned. If they're on our streets, they are a danger.
Tough times here in Canada today. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got this breaking story that the Bloc is working with the Liberals to pass through Bill C9, the censorship bill, the religious free speech bill, the H crimes bill. It's a way to silence citizens. We've also got a couple clips from former CBC anchor Travis Danraj, who testified in committee, absolutely blowing it wide open how corrupt and toxic the CBC is. We have a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. Mr. Bench posting this, Mark Carney's year one as Prime Minister. Question period appearances 34. House sitting days 103. Attendance 33%. Of course, he doesn't want to be accountable. You can at least give that to Justin Trudeau. Every Wednesday, he would sit there and answer every single question. He would ham it up through every single one, and really, I should correct myself. He didn't answer questions, but he pretended to answer questions. He would stand there and say stuff. He never answered questions, but that's more than Mark Carney. Jumping ahead here, I keep seeing these posts of oil prices are tanking. Now they're skyrocketing. Let's just look at the oil chart here. Crude oil, WTI, and what do we have? So this is a week ago on the left side. We see it spiked all the way up to about 115, and then now it's back down to about $84 if we go in weeks. So this goes back to, January 2024, 2023 back here, and then this is this big spike recently. So the oil price is bouncing around. It's dropped since its high here at 110. Moving ahead, bringing up this poll again in BC of the Conservatives surging over the NDP, 47 to 39%. Keeping this in mind, looking at the next one we have here is this: breaking BC government must explain $35,000 budget for an open bar party. And they have the receipts here. All sorts of stumbling juices here. This is what the BC government, David Eby's government, is spending Canadian taxpayer money on, or BC taxpayer money on. This is disgusting. People are sleeping in the streets, and this is what they spend money on. So I have a feeling this lead is just going to continue to increase. And not only that, this other percent here is the One BC Party, which is also conservative, more right-wing conservative than the Conservative Party. So just imagine if that was stacked on there, that would be over 50%. Moving ahead, this one is preposterous. We've got McGuinty here saying that the 14,550 trees they planted at strategic locations is a part of the defense spending. Planting trees is now defense spending in Canada. Oh boy. As it says, their attempt to reach the 2% target. They're turning Trudeau's plant a billion trees program into defense spending now. We've got this one too. Canadians are perishing from preventable deaths in this country, choked by ERs, doctor warns. That's right, an estimated 8,000 to 15,000 Canadians are dying every year from ER overcrowding. Welcome to Canada. Is this the legendary healthcare system that Liberals always talk about when you really need some help? Too bad. Moving ahead, we've got this bombshell here. Conservative Layla Goodridge here posting this. The Liberals are trying to rush Bill C9 through Parliament, putting freedom of religion and freedom of expression at risk. This bill removes an important legal safeguard that protects people of faith when they quote from their sacred texts while expressing their beliefs. The Supreme Court of Canada has previously recognized that this protection is essential to keeping Canada's hate speech laws constitutional. And what happened today? Well, this passed. And it passed because the Bloc helped the Liberals do this. Here we've got Aaron Gunn posting on it. Horrible news. The Liberal government has successfully censored their censorship bill by working with the separatist Bloc Québécois to end committee debate and ram this bill through Parliament. The bill seeks to make it easier to prosecute and arrest Canadians for political and religious expression by watering down the definition of hate speech and removing important safeguards against abuse. We'll continue to fight in Parliament, but there's no way to sugarcoat the situation. This is a dark day for free speech in Canada. Jumping over to the House of Commons, Pierre and Mark Carney going toe-to-toe here to tee up what's about to be debated here. We have this one from Rebel News. Toronto Police Chief admits the synagogue that was pew-pewed was a targeted anti-Semitic attack, not some random subway attack, his deputy claimed. So the cops lied to the public. Ezra Levant got the truth from the Toronto Police Chief of this synagogue being pew-pewed. Now in the House of Commons, Pierre Poilievre dropping the hammer on Mark Carney.
There have always been wars in the Middle East, but never before did those wars spill onto our streets here in Canada. But after 10 years of liberal immigration, liberal open borders, they have allowed criminals, terrorists, illegal guns to enter our country. After 10 years of liberal catch and release laws that the Prime Minister has not changed one word on, we have criminals released on our streets, and now our synagogues are being shot. Iranian dissidents killed on our streets, and there are 700 IRGC terror agents on our streets. What will the Prime Minister do to restore the safety that Canadians had before his Liberal government took office?
Mr. Speaker, we got to go quick here. C-14 changes the bail laws. You might want to read it. Definitely wants to support it. That member opposite has voted against every single gun control measure ever put before this House. This government has banned the Islamic Guards. This government's sanctioned over 200 individuals, over 200 Iranian entities. This government is investigating over 17,000 individual cases. We are protecting this country with 1,000 more RCMP.
Yeah, Canadians don't believe that, though, because they're being targeted.
What I voted against was a liberal approach that has doubled gun crime by wasting billions going after duck hunters, farmers, and legal sport shooters. The Prime Minister is more worried about protecting turkeys from hunters than he is about protecting synagogues from terrorists, Mr. Speaker. That's the real problem. He's got 700 IRGC terrorists in this country. It doesn't matter if they're banned. If they're on our streets, they are a danger. They're shooting up synagogues, killing dissidents, and threatening our people. Will he reverse the liberal agenda that unleashed this violence on our streets?
This is not Pierre exaggerating. We can see right on Global News. Jewish leaders demand action after 3 Toronto synagogues were pew-pewed in a week. 3 different ones in a week. Canada has become so dangerous underneath the Liberals.
Mr. Speaker, we, on this side of the House, we want to protect synagogues. We want to protect community centers. We want to protect places of worship, which is why C9 is before this House today. I challenge the member opposite to put his votes behind his words to protect the Jewish community, to protect communities of faith across this country.
Mr. Speaker, his solution to synagogues being shot up is to ban sections of the Jewish Torah. Mr. Speaker, that is not our solution on this side of the House. And that's according to his own immigration minister, his own heritage minister. We need to be safe at home. We need to be affordable at home. But even before this war broke out and raised gas prices, this Prime Minister doubled food price inflation and gave us the worst grocery price increases in all of the G7, so excuses about global impacts are not going to work. Will the Prime Minister reverse his new taxes on food, fuel, farmers, and fertilizer so Canadians can afford to eat?
Pierre's not wrong there. He was basically naming Mark Miller. I mean, he came out and essentially said that they want to put a ban on religious texts, certain phrases, certain words. They want to censor certain religions. That's what C9's all about, is religious freedoms. It could also be used for politics, censoring free speech.
Mr. Speaker, I would suggest that the member opposite read the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which protects the Torah, which protects the Bible, which protects freedom of expression. This House should not be otherwise informed by possible misrepresentations. We should follow the true word, the true word.
Look at these guys all having a laugh. Carney's laughing, got Tim Hodgson laughing. This is all a joke. They are ripping off taxpayers. Look at these big cheeky smiles. It's so funny that they're destroying Canadian lives.
It protects all Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, the question was about food prices. This Prime Minister said he would be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Since he took office, food price inflation has doubled. And this Prime Minister has introduced new taxes that increase the fuel prices of the farmers that feed us. Now, 2.2 million people are lined up at food banks and faced with even worse fuel costs today. So will the Prime Minister the Liberal Prime Minister, reverse his latest Liberal tax so that Canadians can afford to eat?
Mr. Speaker, it feels like Groundhog Day. I'm once again required to remind the member opposite that the impact of the industrial carbon tax on fuel prices is approximately zero.
That's a lie. He's quoting a government agency that did a government study to give him a data point that he needs, which is that 0 number. That's not true. He's lying to Canadians.
The impact, though, of our trade deals on the farmers in his constituency is absolutely enormous. It is almost planting season, and the farmers of Alberta, Battle River, Crowfoot can plant canola.
With a vote to censor religious texts, we've got synagogues being pew-pewed, and we've also got the CBC being called out for refusing to talk to conservatives. We've got Travis Danraj today testified. Let's go through a few of those clips. Here he is talking about David Cochrane making off-color comments about none other than Tamara Leach.
When it came to Mr. Cochrane, this is during the convoy, for example. We were talking about Tamara Leach. George, who was an individual who was involved in the convoy. We were doing a story around that. And off the hand remarks can be made at times. And I said, I think that she has a couple of different last names. People who live in trailers usually do. Okay, off-color remark. But if this is a pattern, right, you have to, if your staff on your own show are raising this, if people are leaving the program, you have to look a little bit deeper into it, as opposed to pulling me off the air for saying, it's unfortunate the president didn't come on the show.
It's very apparent from David Cochrane's remarks here. He was getting into a battle with table salt. Cochrane is incredibly crude. He's nasty. He's arrogant. He's pompous, condescending. He's a lot like Justin Trudeau. While we're talking about C9 today and censorship, the Liberals in the Bloc ramming this through Parliament, we've got another clip here of Travis talking about how he was banned from bringing on Pierre Poilievre onto his show on the CBC. Are Liberals okay with this? What if it was their leader that was banned from going on the CBC?
You mentioned at one point that CBC management actually prevented you from interviewing Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre on your show. Can you describe what happened there?
Yeah, well, I basically wasn't allowed to pick up the phone and talk to conservatives. I have some G chats here, which I just want to read you part of this. I'm talking to my senior producer. I'm saying, okay, this is an editorial discussion. Can we get a conservative perspective on this is essentially what I'm saying. It is a no to the Conservatives, I'm told. We can't chase anyone from the entire party. The chase is with PNP. So if
you hear that? Not a single person from the entire party. Taxpayers pay for this, but they won't allow a single Conservative onto their network. Are Liberals okay with this? How about the NDP? Are they okay with this level of censorship?
So if Power and Politics is not able to secure a Conservative or somebody that presents an alternate perspective, then we are not allowed to. I'm told at one point, we're sure that there's a myriad of other types of interesting guests that you can chase outside of the Conservatives. Can I be included on conversations with Power and Politics? That's not how we work. I say to management, by playing petty office politics, we feed into conservative narratives that we have a bias against them. Canada Tonight is a melting pot of news of the day, and politics and decisions from it largely impact Canadians. So we need flexibility to respond to emerging stories. So yes, I wasn't even allowed to pick up the phone and call to request Pierre Poilievre. Look at what happened when I had Melissa Lantzman on my show, right? I was threatened to be pulled off the air, which CBC then said in a news statement they didn't threaten to do that. There are recordings of them trying to do this.
Threats should not be allowed to be made. They need to be prosecuted. Rule of law needs to exist in this country. Unfortunately, it seems the upper brass of the RCMP are in on it too.
I mean, there's an effort to essentially protect those in Ottawa in terms of their perspectives on these things, in terms of who they want on the show.
The CBC is rotten to the core. It needs to be defunded completely. Jumping ahead, we've got Donald Trump coming out with this post. I'm working with Governor Gretchen Whitmer on trying to save the Great Lakes from the rather violent and destructive Asian carp, which is rapidly taking over Lake Michigan and all of the beautiful surrounds. I'll be asking other governors to join in the fight, including those of Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, New York, and of course the future governor of Canada, Mark Carney, who I know will be happy to contribute to this worthy cause. Taking another shot at Carney here. Once again, I don't know where this stands. Is this trying to flare up the TDS to get Carney a majority government? I mean, we got 3 by-elections here. Carney already working with the Bloc to censor free speech. And while we're talking about free speech, we've got former CBC employee Karen Johnson describing how clearly toxic it was to work within the CBC, name-calling, humiliation, and more. And as Ryan Garrettson points out, this is what our tax dollars are funding. This is what we're paying for.
You later described what you experienced as part of like a broader workplace culture problem, not just those specific incidents that you mentioned. What led you to believe that, and what was happening behind the scenes?
So when you're hired, if I don't know if anybody knows this, when you're hired at CBC or any other sort of newsroom, you have a 9-month probation. During that 9 months, things should be brought up to you if there's concerns or what have you. That usually what happens. I was actually days to my probation being over when I got called in to say that I wasn't standing in the right place of a weather green screen, which I've been doing for 25 years. I wasn't giving accurate information, but I've never had a complaint about my information. So all this started to tag on. I was humiliated in the newsroom when I was told to not go into studio, told to wait. I was berated. I was screamed at. And then told, what am I going to make things better to improve the situation? A situation that I didn't even cause. I was just doing what I was told to do. Things like that. I got written up for having thick eyeliner on my makeup, on my face. And we had makeup artists who did our makeup. So that was a comment I had gotten from an executive producer. She's nice, but she wears too much eyeliner out of my hands. I was called a bimbo on day 10, that I sounded like a bimbo on the air. That was one of the criticisms that I had received. I'd never been called that in my life, even brown Barbie, which was not great.
Was that from someone who supervised you?
Yes, that was actually my producer in day 10 on the job.
And that led you eventually to write to the president. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I went through the union. I went through the president. I had a case. I even hired an external lawyer. I was getting nowhere. And I thought, I have to bring it to somebody's attention, because honestly, I felt like I was in Alice in Wonderland, and you have all those mirrors and you see these doors and you think that there's an opening and there's a...
Alice in Wonderland. So that's where it cuts off. I'm guessing this clip is from Can't Be Censored podcast. The tolerant woke aren't themselves tolerant. Shocked. This is hopefully what our tax dollars won't be funding one day soon.